We're talking about his new album that just dropped today. It was all a dream. And so, man, talk about the concept of the album.
Concept of the album is dreams. Like, so many of us grew up and you dreamt about being this. Like, for some was an NBA player. I know you was football.
Yeah.
You had that dream until you tried to do it and something stopped it. But in rap, for me, I've been rapping since the 5th grade.
Yeah.
And it was just something that was just so natural, freestyling and just hitting the lunch table, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
The purity of it. So when you then seen Run DMC and LL Cool J on TV, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is what it's growing into?
Yeah.
And do I have those type of chops? I didn't really know until older, when I got to high school and I got a chance to finally do a recording.
Yeah.
I remember it was in the summertime.
What made that what brought that first rapping experience to fruition? What happened?
My friends at school.
Okay.
So what happened was one of them was a producer, and he didn't even go to our school, but my friend said, let's go over his house. And he put the beat tape out, and they went to go make something for lunch, and I hit the record button with the mic, and I recorded a verse. It was called Skills.
Gotcha.
And I was just rapping. I think we all wrote
just freestyle.
Everything. That wasn't the freestyle for that one, but that was written.
Okay. But what made you write the first one then?
At that time, we thought we was going to be rappers. You got Super Lover C, Casanova Rud out. You got
C, man, you going back. Wow.
Steady B, Cool C. You got 3 Times Dope out.
Yeah.
EST. So many local names that was going on.
Master Vic, Exotic Don. You remember them?
No.
You don't remember? Oh, my God. You remember Master Vic?
No.
So it was, in Philly, it was DJ Jazzy Jeff.
I know Jeff.
And you had Master Vic. So DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, but he had other rappers rapping with him at that time.
Okay.
And then you had Master Vic and Exotic Don. Woof.
See,
bruh.
but you knew
I was
access,
a DJ.
So you was in a circle.
Yeah, I was
so
in a
if they never really cut a whole bunch of records and pushed them.
You didn't really, okay.
I didn't get the
chance. Yeah, that Grandmasters of Funk. Does that ring a bell?
I think I might have heard that name. Okay. But I don't necessarily know the song.
Got you. Philly's history, man, on the DJ, I guess party DJs and MC crews at that time. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Cash Money too.
Cash Money, yes.
You can't skip over that.
Who was with Cash Money?
Marvelous. Yeah,
Marvelous.
So again, you start seeing these examples, and you kind of feel like, okay, I can do something with it one day.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it would turn into this.
Yeah.
That I'll record myself, produce myself, mix myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had no clue of those gifts. You just gotta be faithful to God, and He'll reveal something to you, and then be faithful to that.
So to go from writing that first rhyme, recording something happenstance, like what were some of the transitional moments, man, along the way?
Catalyst moments again, because I grew up in Philly. I'm sorry, I was a battle MC. We used to battle on the school bus going home. So. And then sometimes you'll forget what you wrote, so you got to freestyle. So that's another skill set you got to learn. So it was pushed heavily, I think, back then what an MC should be. And then 88 hit. Yeah. And when you got Rakim, Kane, you got all of this lyricism going, it can't do nothing else but spark you to want to write.
Indeed.
But unfortunately, Christian hip hop, again, I grew up in the church. I didn't understand that could be an opportunity. Yeah. To rep God on a mic. So for me, you try to write like everybody else. So this is how y'all write. This is how you write bars. And after a while, I think once I got out of high school and we tried to get signed as a group, it just kept failing and failing. And I call those divine blocks. Yeah. That was God's way of making sure I'm not going down the wrong road. Yeah. So it'll look like an opportunity and He shuts it down. Look like another opportunity. Oh, we're going to sign you. And it shut it down. Right. So that's good. Because for the stuff that I hear going in the industry, I'm not interested.
Right. I got you.
But it was God's protection. So by the age 20, I started going full force serving God. And He, in 6 months, caused me to pick up a pen and a pad again. And this time was to memorize scripture. So put it in rap format, or next thing you know, it led into freestyling. So I got tons of cassette tapes of freestyling. I didn't have equipment, so I beatboxed. These are the elements of hip hop that a lot of people don't talk about, but you had to learn how to do these things.
So true.
In order to build cachet or build some consistency.
Yeah.
So you can then create on a higher level.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you know, it's so funny when you say that, man. It just reminds me of like during that time how central the DJ was to it all, too.
Very
you know,
essential.
I mean, just you weren't going to a hip hop event
rap without a DJ.
Without a DJ.
No.
I mean, whether he's looping something back to back. I mean, remember when 45 King joint came up,
They said that was in '88 too.
taking that back and
What's
forth.
that, 900 number?
Yeah, I mean, you knew every artist and their DJ.
Yeah,
back then,
because it was a consistent thing.
Yeah.
And that's before we got into, we would say polarizing or popular hip hop, where it had that run.
Yeah.
Shiny suits.
Shiny suits.
That
was a thing. I mean,
that
was a thing. You know,
it was a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's interesting about it too is because we were talking about some of this before we started. Just the different lanes that developed then, right?
Yeah.
And whether you liked it or not, some of them became popular for a season and then died. But that doesn't mean the other ones still weren't present.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like lyricism was a big thing, and then to your point, I don't know what you call the shiny shoe era, but let's call it the hyper commercialized for a second, right?
Yeah, pop hip hop.
Yeah, pop hip hop, right, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. But lyricism didn't go away; it just was less emphasized during that time. Conscious, big for a minute, right, and then you had Public Enemy, X Clan. What's the name of Grand Poobah and them? Derek X, Brand Nubian. I mean, you had so many different things happening. Same thing, less emphasized, but they didn't go away. I mean, I just appreciate all of it, and that's one of the things I love about Christian hip hop.
Yeah,
is that I think there are a lot of similarities, not because we're following anyone, just because of the way consumers behave, and the way they enjoy different things. You know what I mean? And so we have things accessible to people who want lyricism, people who want a little bit more commercial, people who want a little more melodic, people who want a little bit more poetic and poetry based. You know what I mean? So
all types.
It's all out there. It's all
out there.
So when you constructed your album, was there a sonic thing you were going for as well, or was it all more organic around the message?
It could have been both. Could have been both. It's hard to say now because living in it, it was a range of time. I might have spent 8 to 10 months working on the skeleton of the track, putting it together, seeing does it sound right. Even when I went to the listening session with you, and you gave different pointers, and I took that back. So now it's how some of the songs got to a whole nother level, and that's where we got to get to the point of leaving the studio and actually talking with other people that's in your field, so that you can see how can you grow what you already organically created.
Such a powerful point. So what made you, that's good, man. What made you start doing that? What made you start having listening sessions before you published?
Your ear was to the streets. Yeah. So you knew everything that was going on because you study it more, meaning the CHH space. For me as a creative, I'm locked in the dungeon. So I don't see everybody's song. And if I pull it up on Instagram, you're only getting 5% of probably 10% of what's really happening.
Right.
And you don't have a deep enough. And also for your ears as a producer, because he used to produce.
Yeah.
and the skill set you have. So it made sense to me for you to be a point person to run it by your ears. It's just certain people that I would just run things by because at a certain point, growing to another level of creativity, another level of rhyming, you just want to bounce it off someone and just see what they think. Sometimes you don't have to always go with what they may suggest,
right?
Because that might not be how the Holy Spirit's moving you, but at the same time, consider it because you can possibly make the project better than what it was before.
Such a good point, man. And particularly in this era of again, do it yourself. I'm thankful for the tools.
Yeah.
And the ability to do so much on your own.
Yeah.
At the same time, I guess I'm just not ignorant to how isolating that can be as well, particularly after COVID.
Yeah.
Because COVID made being isolated normal.
Correct.
To a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
So you take that, layer it with everything we were already starting to see with a generation that started communications via texting.
Yeah.
And now you're isolated and now you have these great tools. And so it's a formula for, I just do it all myself vertically. Everything from the concept of the song, the writing of the song, the beat, putting it out the whole 9 yards. And it's just so, it can become so rich when you have collaborations. Let's jump to a song and come back on that topic, man. So Finally Arrived, introduced it.
Finally Arrived, it's a collaboration song. Shout out to my man, Pastor Charles A.R. That was one of the later beats I got from Tino, and I was writing to it, and I said, this needs a guest appearance. And at that time, being a part of Holy Culture Records, I said, let me see, who could I talk to? I said, Pastor Charles A.R. down in Florida. So hit him up. He put the verse on there, and it became the song that we're going to hear.
What's up, y'all? That was Finally Arrived with my man B.E.R.I.D.O.X and Pastor Charles A.R. And if you didn't know, now you do know. He is live in the studio, B.E.R.I.D.O.X.
We in here.
I mean, the MC, the father, the 2 decades old friend, the host of the Christ Revolution music show.
Don't forget the married man.
The married man. I said MC father. Right, yeah, married man, obviously.
Yeah,
yep, absolutely. I shouldn't say obviously just because you're father. That doesn't mean you're still married. But yes,
hey, come on
thank
now.
you very much.
Keep it real.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit about, collaboration. And, sometimes I have to be honest. Do you remember times when our parents would say something and we would, shake our heads, suck our teeth. Oh, gosh, to talk about the old stuff. And they're old. Now.
You appreciate it.
Yes. Well, I feel like I'm becoming that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Right? I have a 30-plus-year-old son. I've got a grandson. So, yeah, I said, man, Trig, you are becoming that guy. I'm talking about the old days and whatnot. I guess what I would say, hopefully that I'm different, is I don't dislike necessarily anything that's happening today. I only refer to the old sometimes just because I do want to suck the goodness out of it and bring it forth if possible, as well as just a compare and contrast. Not that one's good or bad. Just can't we make them, I guess use everything we can use. And one of the things I appreciate, like back in the day when we were more active, we were up and down the New Jersey Turnpike doing events. Yeah. I was thinking yesterday, man. About the event we did in that church. It was I think it was a church or youth group or something. And I don't know if you remember this. It was like a massive cafeteria, but they didn't have a sound system.
Yes, I do. But we had to drive up to New York for that.
Was that New York?
That was your buddy.
Okay.
It was a young guy.
Okay.
Who wanted to put together a youth event.
That what it was, and they had the tall speaker on the front and one microphone attached to it, and we had to play. We had to play the music through the microphone out that speaker. You remember that?
We had a couple of those. It was a storefront church that had that.
I definitely remember that
the
on
mic
Fifth Street
in front of the
radio.
That so
Lord have mercy.
For those who are rocking mics on big stages, appreciate the time period you're in.
Yes, Lord, because you're right. That one on Fifth Street, I remember that one where at least the church was small.
It was.
So when we put the mic next to we played the speaker through the mic and it came out the little speaker. We didn't need a mic because the church was small enough we could just rap from stage. I can't remember that. But that other one, that big cafeteria thing, that was, as Judy would say, a kerfuffle. That thing was messed up. And so, but here's the thing I remember. Up and down the turnpike and whatnot, without us saying we were going to collaborate, we would collaborate.
Correct.
We would play, hey, bro, this is a song I'm working on. Ooh, maybe you should do this to it, or maybe I should jump on it, or maybe you should. We were constantly collaborating real time. And so I just wonder sometimes in today's, again, DIY, people in their own spaces, do we miss some of those opportunities to collaborate? And not just for the sake of great music, for the sake of relationships and the death in those relationships. What's your take?
This should be something that we get back to, because putting yourself in a space with another believer / artist / creative, you don't know what's going to come out of that.
Yeah.
Like we got together at your crib back in 99 to record Sights of Revelation. So Judah Priest showed up, I showed up, Nas showed up.
Yep.
And we sat there and said, all right, so what's the chorus going to be?
Right.
So we wrote the chorus on the fly. We already had our verses. We recorded it. If you guys knew how this part went down, Trig had his studio set up in the apartment. So, again, he was rocking out. So the sound output and the quality he's coming out with is incredible. But like you said, the coming together was something that brought out another level.
You know what was ridiculous about that time, now that I think about it? Thank God for my wife and her patience, because my studio setup replaced the dining room for the most part, right? I mean,
he's telling the truth. I mean, I didn't want to say it.
You walked into the apartment and there was a living room couch, and then everything else was like studio
speakers. Mixing board.
I had a Mackie 24x8.
I love that one though. Yeah. You hit the button and it said shh.
Yeah, I had that was the DB8. Yeah, the automated DB8. I had the racks with the ADATs and everything, and then a little recording space. God bless you for that patience, because she let me take over.
But she saw the future.
Yeah.
She saw you needed to be involved. Because think about it. If you didn't spend all that creative space in, where would this be?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. You had to be a part of the elementary stages of CHH in order to see it go to another level.
Absolutely. So, when you are, where you are now, obviously you navigate a lot better, right? Because you've got some wisdom, you've been in the space, etc. But still, things are going to pop up. Things are going to, barriers are going to come up, so on and so forth. What are some of the challenges you find yourself faced with nowadays in this space?
Nowadays, I would believe the challenge that is learning curves for a lot of things that you haven't gotten into. Some of the spaces are just the realities that you don't know it all. And that's a good thing, not knowing it all, because then it'll open you up to seek help.
Yeah.
And you get into conversations, and that's when you start collaborating and talking with others and seeing how they do something, gain access to some other type of services to get creative. So for surrounding yourself with people that are in those spaces and hearing those conversations, it helps you.
Yeah.
So now my difficulties aren't going to remain difficulties. They're going to be able to be converted into opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's a good one. So it's long back on that path of collaboration, and now you're talking about like literally how to collaborate. We're talking again about collaboration, and I love the point you mentioned about, because it was a response to challenges and dealing with challenges, and you said, well, one of the things you're doing now is collaborating more, but it sounded like not just music collaboration, other areas to get things done.
Yeah, I'm just staying sensitive that if someone, and this is a growth factor, right? We're going to constantly grow. If someone else is more gifted in the area and the Lord is dealing with you to talk to them, reach out to them, you should.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, how many times you got into a conversation with someone and they're a born-again believer, you're a born-again believer, they say something that triggers you, you say something, and then the conversation blossoms into something incredible with revelation, and you're like, wait a second. We didn't have that conversation, would I have gotten to it? Possibly.
Right.
But you did in this conversation. So being open to growing is always something that we should be. We shouldn't be the same. We shouldn't be stagnant. We shouldn't be stale. We should be fresh.
That's good.
Fresh.
I have so many thoughts on that, because there is, again, I don't want anybody either to think I am anti do it yourself.
He get ready to say back in the days.
Yeah, no, no, I'm so not anti DIY. Well, not even back in the day. Just think about some of our behavior when you go to work every day.
Yeah.
So pick a field. Most of us, depending on what you do, cannot produce the company's product by yourself.
Not at all.
Right? You raw materials come. If you're a manufacturer, raw materials come in. They've got to go on different conveyor belts. The different people manning those conveyor belts to turn it from wood to a cabinet. How many people touch that before those pieces of wood become a cabinet? There's a guy doing the knobs, a guy doing the table ends, a guy, you know what I mean? The guy doing the drawers. There's a guy with the paste doing stuff, and you need all those different people. Could you do it yourself? Yeah.
But how long would it take?
How long would it take?
Quality.
Would it be as good? Oh, and don't forget the people who have to do the sales of the product. The people who have to do the marketing.
They're waiting on you
to
produce product.
People have to do the customer service when something goes wrong. The people have to get it out for shipping and delivery. And so my point is, again, I'm not anti-DIY. I'm just saying, if you want to offer the highest quality of product,
yeah,
bringing other people in who have gifts and talents in those different spaces is a model that we use every day for most of our workplaces.
Yeah, it's for our lives.
We can adopt it into other parts of our lives, right? So you can get the best product available. The second thing is, if you want to scale, same thing. You will need to do the same thing. You'll need to involve other people in those different things so you can make more products and services.
Yeah, and it may be difficult initially, but then once you do it a couple of times and you see the results come out of it, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable, and you might be excited for the next opportunity. Like,
talk about why it's difficult initially.
It depends on what mindset you're in. If you're in the mindset of, I want God to give me everything that I need and it just comes through me only, then you're kind of going to get those type of results. But that's not what Scripture talks about. The Scripture said we're one body, but many parts. So you need all of this, just like our human body. You know, our hand can't say to our foot, I don't need you. My head can't say to, it's just would be chaos. But we definitely can grow to another level, can do something and achieve something greater just by opening ourselves up to work with other individuals who may have another gift in another area. And these two go together, just like peanut butter and jelly. Like whoever was the first person to put those two together and make a sandwich, unless you got food allergies, peanut butter and jelly was an incredible sandwich.
Yes, indeed.
Now, if you're into the peanut butter and sardines, you're on your own. I'm not rocking with it, but
I've never heard that.
I'm just threw it out there.
Never heard that. All right. Never heard of that one. That one scares me. No, that's such a good point. And, I wonder if the other part of what may stop people sometimes is the fear of giving up some of the return. Yeah. So if I bring other people in, my 100% is reduced to 75%. Or
it's a beautiful point because I have a beautiful answer.
What's that?
100% of nothing is 100% of nothing.
All day.
So if you don't have nothing that's produced,
or even 100% of one, because you can only make one a week, but now you go to 75% and you can do 5 a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The other thing, and again, I don't want to get too heady about this, but I'm just going to say it, is as you can move from the person who has to touch everything to you becoming a manager and an administrative, and you can still be involved in the creative process, but now you are where you can create like a flow of things happening. Just make sure you do the math on the lost opportunity of not doing that. So in other words, you can keep 100%, you can keep 80% if you just outsource a couple pieces. But what if you could say, wow, I can do 100 of these a week, but at 30 or 40%, but look at now what you've scaled and what you start to set up as an ongoing operation. So just consider those things.
They call that manufacturing.
They call it manufacturing. Absolutely. Operation. I like to say operationalize it.
Okay.
Operationalize it. Make that puppy hum. So with the expertise that you have, what are some of the other challenges that have come up? So collaboration is one. What else?
Collaboration. So we talking about within the music field or life?
You know what? To your point, let's talk both, right? Because I don't think, for forever we talk about almost like the music and life as if we're two different persons.
Yeah, it sounds
you've got to merge. I mean, everything comes together, right?
In reality.
So what has been some of the challenges?
So just knowing how much you can commit to your music ministry, time versus pulling away from family, pulling away from your marriage, pulling away from church, like everything. What Jesus said, count the cost, right? Before you build a house. Everything costs something. It's not like you can just say, I can become an incredible artist by spending all of my time doing that, because then if you're married, you may be alone when you finally finish that album.
Say that again.
You might be alone because now that became your first love instead of how God is supposed to play a role, how your wife is supposed to play a role, your marriage, your children, your responsibilities. Do you have a job? Do you have money to pay the bills? Do you have health care?
Yep.
Like all of those other factors measure in. I know we're creatives. I know we're artists. I know we want to create the next hit. But the reality is I got to stay balanced in these areas, because if I don't be balanced in these areas, I'm going to feel it.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect my ministry. It's going to affect my opportunity to flow and to be able to reach and touch people for Christ. Like it has a chain reaction.
Wow. And that kind of explains the 6-year hiatus you took.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a promotion. I was working in a new position, had to get settled there, elevated to another position. So it required some time. And even still, growing spiritually is another aspect that I did experience during those times. Just learning how to sit alone with God and journal and pray and get through some of the attacks on your mind. Because think about it, when you're bringing a spiritual message to set people free, don't think the enemy is just going to let you keep rocking. Like all of a sudden scenarios show up and difficulties and anxiety and like, wait a second, I'm young. I was in my 30s and I'm like, what's all these complications that's trying to challenge me? And it was just not really successfully attacking my body, it was attacking my mind. So therefore you have to then gird up the loins of your mind, renew your mind. Like this is a process. So that lifestyle change also changed how I flowed.
Yeah. That's good.
Because content then changed. What I write about. So I started writing on songs. Like on the album, I have a song called Think Of. I'm paying attention to what I meditate on, because what you meditate on, you're going to give birth to something. You want to give birth to what God's results in your life, not the other whack stuff.
That's good. And, you make such a good point, because you made me think about the years where through my transitions where Holy Culture, man, it was low on the priority list when we moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
And I took that new gig. I mean, it was a lot of transition, man. We had never moved out of Philadelphia area, and I think sometimes you can underestimate what it means to move to another city.
That's right.
And you get there and you're like, new city, new job, new team. Wow.
Yeah.
Right? And then move again 3 years later to Dallas. Like, oh my God. And then we still had a house in PA. So you coming back and forth every now and then, trying to see the family. Yeah. And so, for a minute, Holy Culture was on life support.
Yeah.
And so I get it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, man, one of my learning lessons from that was I didn't plan to deprioritize it. It happened because of how much was on my plate.
Yeah.
And so I love what you said is counting the cost and making some of those determinations up front.
Yeah.
Just being honest about,
and be honest how much I can commit to.
Hey, yeah, that's good. That's good. What has been one of the biggest challenges that you did not expect?
Biggest challenge? Well, it's kind of complicated because these things happen. Over the past year I lost my dad.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And that's something that can happen. You lose a parent. But when you do, you got to deal with it and manage it, because the whole process, I really just say in America, how we handle losing a loved one, you're thrust immediately into planning the funeral and planning the program.
Yes,
you're like, wait a second, I just need to see what's going on. So those type of challenges, loss of life and family members, is a reality. And it's something that we're all going to have to deal with. And we can take it from scriptural standpoint and understand that, you pray for those who are grieving and mourning, and that's a fact, but they still got to go through it.
Yeah.
And only God and time will help individuals go through it. So
Facts, yeah.
Those type of obstacles you can't really plan for, because some of them happen without you being, quote unquote, totally prepared.
Yes.
But by God's grace, he prepares us.
That's good. That's good. I think about some of the young folks, man, who, not just young folks, people who follow you, but I always think about, I have a heart for young folks, because if we can help them not have to go through some of the things we did, by all means, I want to make sure information is available to do so. One of the things I've noticed is you've got a pretty strong following on Facebook, man, who follow some of your inspirational messages and scriptures when you drop them, and I almost want to call it mini devos sometimes when you're dropping a word on people. What made you start doing that regularly?
Sometimes I don't see it enough. Like, I don't see others doing it. And from conversation that others are very spiritual and very heavy, but if no one is saying it, then it doesn't allow for God to be able to open up some doors and revelation in certain people's lives. So I would take it literally. It's a book that I got, I think it's Jermaine Copeland, Prayers That Avail Much, Volume 1 and 2. And it's just a confession prayer depending on the topic. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll snatch a paragraph and just punch it into Facebook.
Gotcha.
And see who does it trigger, because everybody's going through the same thing. They're saying in the scripture, there's no temptation but such as common to man. We're all going to go through the same types of temptations.
That's right.
Now, the degrees of them and the levels of them may be different, but it's still the same types. So me being spiritual of saying, Lord, wow, you showed me this in scripture. This is inspirational. This is life-changing. You know what? I need to post that.
Yeah.
I need to share that and let you do what you can do with it. Mark 4 says, the sower sows the word. Yeah. Sow the word. Let's see what God do with it. That's one good. Plant, one waters, God give the increase. So that's what we're here for.
That's good. So we've talked about collaboration, man. We've talked about the theme of the album. We've talked about some of the creative process. We've talked about, man, our history and the things we've been through that kind of bring us to this moment. Let me ask you that question. Mm-hmm. In this moment, not like literally these seconds right here, but kind of like in this moment in our culture, in our world, what things are top of mind for you?
Family is primarily family. Mm-hmm. Like, I have a daughter, she's 23. I have a son who's 20. I have a wife. I'm not saying her age. See, I'm smart. But just enjoying family. Mom. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Like, so much of the things that we can be praying for, that God provides for them, that God takes care of them. Yeah. But for me, really, it's the kids and their future. Yeah. Like, sometimes, like you were saying, growing up, you didn't necessarily anticipate that you would have to be positioned to look forward for a future. And like you were saying, for grandchildren, you know, it's does a complete spin. It's not just all about you no more and what you want to do. Yes. Like, now you're concerned about everyone else. They're different, just different things. Yes. Just different.
Yeah. That's good. So family, what else?
Ministry. Just really paying attention to where God wants me to grow into. I see where it started. Yes. I see where it's at now, and I know that it's going to progress. So I'm just staying sensitive and being open too. Because a lot of times when people challenge you around you, it puts you in a position of something that you're not quite comfortable. Yep. But not being comfortable is a good space, because now it's potential for growth. Yep. And it's going to stretch you. But in the end, he has more gifts for you. Yeah. Because you were faithful in the first set of gifts, that he bursts more gifts.
Yeah. I think one of the things I remember most is we were getting ready for the album drop, and we were talking about, or it may have been earlier than that, actually. It may have been during, I can't remember if it was during the album drop or when we were first doing like the intake process. So again, B has been blessed. He's been blessing us to be a part of Holy Culture Records, and so we try to do this intake process to really understand the artist and their brand and where they want to go. And one of the things you said was, God will not let me not do it. Say more.
This album was something that we had on the schedule to release, so I'm thinking we're just going to release the album. And the Lord put a check on my spirit, said, do a release. Like, do a release? No one has done a release in so long. I haven't done one since 2007. Yeah. So for me, it's like, what? So, all right. And then he keeps giving me more. So in the same concept of dreams, God not only put something in your heart for you to do, but then he starts providing wisdom and providing vision and providing a outlook on what you can do. And being surprised that once I put it forward, other people were like, oh, cool, let's do it. Yeah. And it's like, wait a second. I didn't necessarily see this was a part of the schedule or a part of anything, but God won't leave you alone until you move on what he called you to do. Yeah. He's going to keep bringing it back to you. So this time I didn't avoid it and I didn't resist it, but I learned how to embrace it. And that's a growth process too, because there will be a next time that he'll say the same thing, do X, do Y, do Z. Gotcha. And if you're obedient, then it opens up more levels. And again, it's not quite for me. Right. It's for the people. It's for the others who are going to receive from whatever God has orchestrated and set up for that night.
Yes, yes.
So I just dropped that real quick. August 31st will be at Christ Community Church of Philadelphia. That's from 4:30 is when the DJs kick off, but it's really 5 to 8. We're going to have fun, man, just celebrating. I got a whole host of artist friends with me. I don't want to run all the names down right now because if I forget one, I'll be in trouble. But we're just going to have a friend. Yeah. We're just going to have some fun.
Man, I'm so disappointed I won't be able to be there because cool, I got to be at another conference. I'm so...
You stretched thin, bro.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's not too bad. It's not too... My travel schedule hasn't been too bad, man. I'm good.
Because you said you know how to keep it under control and stay balanced.
I've been intentional about that, man.
You got to.
I've been very intentional about not traveling too much. So yeah. Another thing you said is my goal is to gain access to pulpits and stages once again to fulfill my calling and ministry. This time, not just locally, but nationally. So I was actually surprised to hear that because so many people who have been at it for a minute are moving to, I want to produce the music, but I'm not sure I want to travel and do that. You were one of the few, I think, quite frankly, who said, no, I'm going back out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going back out.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line, sometimes your gift, people around you in your local area seen it before. Yeah. They heard you before. They saying, oh, and Jesus even said a prophet sometimes is not, I'm not saying I'm a prophet.
Just to be clear.
But, sometimes the home crowd like, yeah, man, that's just such and such.
That's just
such and such. Yeah. But in the funniest space, though, when you go places, just like I remember when we traveled to Middlesex, New Jersey. Now, to some of y'all like, I don't like the term of that phrasing, but it was it's a real town. Yeah. And we went there, and that church received us. It was Carriers of the Cross, Judah Priest, Trig, myself. They received us, and it was like such a great time. But that's not our backyard,
right?
And they were able to receive whatever God used to flow through us. Indeed. I know that He wants to do more. Indeed. And it's not just can't put that on God to say I'm gonna limit you to this tri-state area because I don't want to travel.
Right.
If opportunities open up and we cover whatever fees that has to be covered, it's cool. Indeed. Because it's God setting it up.
Indeed. What are you most looking forward to with dropping this album over the next several months? Where's your head been?
Right now it's just been locked into getting all this together and still paying attention to the release. After that, man, I just want to see how the Lord moves. Yeah. Because the content is there, the music is there, the visuals are there, like everything is coming about. Yeah. I'm just excited about opportunities to see God use ministries again, and not just mine, but others that surround us and others that we know. And we see that they're growing, and we see they're ready to go to another level, and how we might be able to help. Like, those things are exciting because we're one body, and if we move together with the common goals that we already have, there's no telling what we can do. So just like we always discuss about creating events in our space, Philly used to be busy.
Man, it used to be busy.
And I'm not saying we can be that busy, but at least doing something once a month, touching other ministries and being around each other and the people, it might help us to another level to grow and be an inspiration to other cities. Do the same.
I feel like events are coming back.
It is.
I feel like events are coming back, and I feel like Philly. I feel like there's a nice groundswell of artists in Philly that, man, I'm not close enough to it. I should be, but I'm not close enough to it.
Time.
Yeah, exactly. But I know some people who are, and when I talk to them, I feel like there's a nice groundswell, there's a nice collective, and a couple different. I don't even want to call them camps, just in different spaces throughout Philly and pockets. Thank you. And it's like, man, it looks prime to set up some good events. And you remember back in the day, we used to do, oh my God, Urgent. Wow, I'm dating myself again. The Urban Religion Gospel Explosion National Tour. Lord have mercy. Right. That was the acronym. Yep. But, what I liked about it was once a month. We always had a collection of local artists and bring in a national artist to go with it. Yeah. And it just felt like a good balance. And it gave a lot of people access to another platform for to hone their gifts, right? Because different people are at different stages of recording versus understanding how to perform live. And those things seem helpful. You know,
it was extremely helpful because just like I said, being around you in the earlier stage of my ministry, Trig was the man who had the serious board. He had the serious equipment. He had the serious focus of diligent mixing and huge. Like, you guys just don't know. We're spoiled, I'm going to tell y'all, in the digital age of throwing a plug-in on a track to do reverb or delay. When he had a song, Pocket Change, with him and Fanatic,
oh my gosh,
he had his fingers on the board, and he had to open up that knob and close it so the ADAT would catch it in time for the swell and the decrease of the delay.
Yeah, you're right. God dog. That's right, because that's right. That was at Mackie. Right. It was no automation. Right. So even the pan to the left and right and all those different things, that was all manual. Wow, man.
But that taught me how to do things, and even TV tracks. Like, sometimes people be like, I want to see MCs on stage with no vocals in the track. I'm like, that's not wise. Why not have the chorus in the track? What's wrong with having ad-libs so the person don't forget where they are? Because something can throw you off.
Right.
So you don't rap on top of the song, but delete your lead vocal, have your backups, have your chorus. Like, that's teaching and education that a lot of artists need. And also to tell them, get their TV track mastered. Yeah. So that the volume don't drop when you come on the set, and you don't got to worry about the sound man, because so many people have different ranges of volumes of their tracks, and they like, turn the mic up, turn the mic. Yeah. So it's just education. Like, having conversations like that in the community space will be helpful, and then it brings everyone's quality up.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. How do you advise people who say, I love what you're doing, and I love that you've been doing it so long, but man, I struggle with being that productive after my day job? What do you say?
Either you're called or you're not called, and sometimes the calling requires for you to push.
Yeah.
Again, the schedule and the stay balanced. Like with me running a radio show, there's different strategies to keep up with that.
Yes.
There's different strategies to keep up. So instead of make your job harder, make it easier. What can you do when you come home that's reasonable for your ministry? If that's 30 minutes, even if it's 15, let it be a productive 15, 30 minutes. Weekend comes, you usually have enough space. Like on the weekend, my wife, she goes to the hairdresser. So if I don't have to get my hair cut,
that's 48. That's 46 hours.
No, not for her, but it just opened up a lot of time. So I already know what I'm doing during that hour or 2 hours. So it just gives you strategy to make sure you can get creative and productive and don't burn yourself out, because you're the only one that's feeling the effects of it. Like we talked about anxiety. You can stress yourself out.
Indeed.
It's not even nothing stressing you but yourself.
Indeed.
So stop stressing yourself out. Like, it doesn't have to be done. I think I said this recently, within the next X amount of time.
Yeah.
You putting these parameters and these restrictions on yourself.
Yeah.
Like the crowd, they'll be receiving it whenever you drop it. Why are you stressing yourself out?
Why are you stressing yourself out? That's good. That's good. The question I would ask you too is, we're in an interesting cultural moment, I feel, as well, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, because earlier we talked about, look, let's not get sucked into the political pieces, subscribing to parties, fighting back and forth over issues. Let's not do that, but let's be a part of the process. And I'll say it every year. I think it's incumbent upon us to not even just wait to national election time, excuse me, but to be involved in the process throughout the year.
Yeah.
Like, know who your local representatives are. Get involved and understand the issues and research them for yourself, please. Can I underscore that? Research the issues for yourself.
Don't take the social media posts.
Don't just take the posts, because it's hard to find social media posts that don't come with, like, laden with bias.
Yeah.
And so trying to get to source information so you can get closer to the actual facts is important. Yeah. 3, challenge then your local representatives and state. I'll repeat this story time and time again, man. And I'm sorry if it comes across as like being on the stump. I don't care.
Yeah.
One of the best experiences I had, man, when we were living out in off Alden, Clifton, PA, and there was an issue. I can't even remember what the whole issue was, but I felt, or I was advised to see my state representative. Mm-hmm. The first time I learned at that point, I was in my 20s, that he had an office in the area, and you can schedule an appointment to meet him.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And so we scheduled an appointment, went and met him. He listened to us, we talked through it, so on and so forth. The outcomes, I can't remember if we got exactly what we wanted, but it felt empowering to understand the process and talk to someone in that with that position of influence, who could either make an immediate change or give me more guidance in terms of what I want. So I would just say, understand all those things and use all the levers through local, city, state, county, national.
That's right.
All right. So now beyond that, though, let's put the political thing to the side. For me, I'll tell you something I'm struggling with that I'm curious to get I'm not struggling with. I'm just navigating through. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Mm-hmm. I perceive that, listen, there are many who benefit from our isolation and from our polarization.
Yeah.
And I find myself constantly working to monitor and limit how much time I spend in certain spaces.
Gotcha.
How much time I'm going to be on social or whatever the case may be. Thank God for people like Jay who manages social, or, and what was Avis. Big shout out to Avis.
Yeah, shout out Avis.
Lord knows, Avis Skinner. Love you. And we'll always love you.
Absolutely.
And what you've been for Holy Culture. But yeah, just really, because I'm hyper conscious about the fact that many of these things, and by the way, this is not just speculation, there's data that proves these things out.
Yeah.
That they serve to further push us away from each other, further have us in tunnels of information that just perpetuate certain beliefs versus helping share information that would maybe change our perspective or see other sides differently.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how you think about that, because as an artist, you're in the same space of needing to use all these platforms and whatnot to share your message. How do you, does like what I'm saying resonate with you or not really?
I understand what you're saying. I appreciate the part about government and understanding the local government, the higher governments, and being involved. But does it disrupt my peace? And is that the ultimate question?
Not really. No, not does it disrupt your peace.
Or is it just a concern?
How do you engage with it?
How do I engage with media? I'm aware. Now, this is how I talked about earlier, being balanced in your thoughts and being balanced with not being overwhelmed with life.
Yeah.
When you start noticing it's messing with you, that you're overstimulated with too much media, then it's time to shut it off.
Yeah.
There are certain times, because I have a high intense stress type of job, and then you build it into allowing yourself to be stressed with your ministry, stressed with your family. It starts building up to the point where some people say they feel tension in their shoulders. Like, that's too much.
Thank God I've not had that.
Yeah, but the point is, you're allowing so much to come in, and you're not whatever the phrase is where they say you're not coming down.
Yeah.
You're not allowing yourself to breathe again. Like, you got to find creative ways to do that. So whether it's shut off media and go for a 30-minute walk, just to loosen yourself up and do something different. Like, for some people, it's putting on some
come down
music.
From stimulation.
Yeah, coming down from stimulation, because the day just cranks and cranks. You get that email. And unfortunately, we work in email environments where people expect an answer within the next 30 minutes. And it's like, why do you need an answer in the next 30 minutes?
Get that text. I expect an answer in 2 minutes.
But that's stress.
Right.
It's just added pressure and stress.
Right.
So sometimes you got to do the do not disturb. You got to find ways to shut down at a certain time and just have time alone with your family. Like, figure out
that's good. What
are those keys that relaxes you, and schedule them. Yeah. So that you don't have those overstimulated segments.
I've done a few things that I find have helped me a lot, man. One, nothing before devotionals, Bible study, and my workout in the morning.
That's good.
Nothing. No electronics before I get through my devos, my Bible study, and my workout. I don't want any intake, no email, no social.
Possible things.
Yeah, I don't want any downloading of any information before those 3 things happen.
Yeah.
2, doing the daily bread with my wife, right? So I do my devos, I take my shower, and then I do my devos with Ish. And then driving out of the garage, getting my vitamin C on the way to work, right? Gotcha. It's a thing to me of almost like a concentric circles opening to my day, right? So that's 1. 2, man, like you said, taking a walk.
Yeah.
I have, over the last 6 months, more deeply appreciated getting out and taking a 2 to 3 mile walk for 40 minutes to an hour around that park. Bro, there's something special about that.
Yeah, and you look forward to it.
Yes.
And when you don't do it, you feel that you need to do it.
Absolutely.
So,
like tomorrow morning, that's my thing. I'll probably wake up tomorrow. I usually wake up between 4 and 5, but on Saturday I'll sleep into 7.
Yeah.
Get up and do that walk, bro. It's good. What does B.E.R.I.D.O.X do to wind down, as well as hobbies and whatnot? What do you do?
People would consider music a hobby, so that's a cheat code.
But see, it's a part of your ministry and your work. So
that's what
they blend. It's still a hobby for you.
In the same context, because there's things that you really want to tinker with and get to. Like I got a keyboard to get to, the MP I want to get more experience with, but the time just doesn't allow it.
So,
now.
Hold up. So you still using the MP?
I haven't used it for any releases yet.
Okay.
So, but again, it's just the creativeness of finding it. So that's the hobby area, I would say, because I got to learn more than I can be productive.
If you get to be productive with that, I want to hear, because I'm struggling with, I'm sorry, y'all, we getting super technical for a second. I'm struggling with the MP, using that with Splice and everything, right? Like, it's so easy to do everything in Logic Pro or something, right? And so how do you, so I would, if you figure that out, I want to hear that. All right, I'm sorry.
Well, some of it is having the outside keyboard, again, to put in different sounds. So that would cause you to get creative.
Okay. All right.
I would say, like I said, the most time I spend is with my wife.
Yeah.
And we just have downtime. She may be flicking on the phone. I may be scrolling through YouTube, but it's like such a come down from your work environment time.
Yeah.
And like you do, the having time alone with God early in the morning before anything else starts. So right now I'm a hybrid worker. So I'm 2 days in the office, 3 days at home.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 days at home are the best because I don't log in till 9 o'clock. So I'm like in chill mode. Like my wife is like, she's at work. She's like, you're at home having coffee with Jesus on the back deck.
Yeah.
And But again, it's just the opportunities that have been afforded us that you find ways to get balance and find ways to stay at peace. So renewing your mind with the word, praying, sitting there, relaxing, take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't value 30-minute naps. Like, there's so many solutions and ways to overcome some of the rat race things that people chasing all the time.
How is it with the both children out the house now, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought
just my daughter. My son he's
Miles
he's
local.
Just 20.
He's going to Temple?
No, he's in DeVry.
He's in DeVry. That's right. That's right. He's going to school from home. That's right.
That's awesome. So no, it's cool. He keeps to himself for a little while until he's ready to come out the room. So.
Got you.
But outside of that, man, I just appreciate it.
That's good, bro.
I appreciate where I'm at.
That's good. Well, man, listen, I'm glad you came in.
So am I. Bro.
I'm excited about the album drop, bro. What's one word you want to leave with people on this album release day?
That's difficult. One word.
Well, a phrase. More than a phrase, a word.
One word thing is powerful. It's like Jeopardy for a second. All right, consistency. Consistency. Just stay consistent in what God called you to do. Don't make things more challenging for yourself. I wanted to be X here, and here at this time last year, and I'm not. That's not a reason to be depressed. Like, just get back in God's presence and just let him refresh you.
That's good.
And refuel you.